On the third episode of Pepp Fam, we have a strong battery today as we are joined by father-son duo Paul and Trevor Franklin of Pepperdine Baseball. Hi, guys. I want to start off with both of your decisions to go to Pepperdine. Paul, we'll start with you. How did you end up in Malibu?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us, Olivia. Trevor, nice to see you. It was a really bizarre way that I ended up at Pepperdine. We're talking 1978, so you got to go back a few years. But I was pitching for my summer baseball team, the Whittier Golds, and my coach had played at Pepperdine. At the time, I was scheduled to go to the local junior college in Whittier, California, and we got to about middle of August of 1978. The school year was going to start towards the end of August, I believe, or no, early September. And he got a call. My coach gets a call from the pitching coach at Pepperdine. And the coach says, I'm down one pitcher. I need a pitcher. Do you have anybody? My coach says, yeah, my guy, Franklin. He's the guy. So my mother and I drove out to Pepperdine for a tryout, if you will, and just on the pitching mound on the field, and met the coach, and got home that night and got a phone call from Scott Muckey, who was the pitching coach, and he said they would like to have me. And the good news was I had forgotten that my parents had made me enroll at Pepperdine University. So I had been accepted. So I didn't have to go through any of the process. And he said, well, what do you think? You want to come here? And so here I was thinking, I'm going to the local junior college. And that's because I was 17. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And I said, sure, sounds great. And there, a week later, I was moving into the dorms and going to be part of what turned out to be a historic.
I want to follow up with that decision to stay at Pepperdine. When you got to campus, you have to be on that mound and looking over the ocean, thinking to yourself, this is the prettiest baseball field I've ever seen. Was that something that went through your mind?
I'm sure it did. I mean, again, you tend to take certain things for granted. And keep in mind, they hadn't built that beautiful stadium. It was a field with a big chain link backstop. It still had the great palm trees in the background. I was just a kid thinking, this is pretty cool. I didn't even know I was going to be here. And I remember my parents took me there for the move-in day to the dorms. And I knew I had been assigned another baseball player, a guy named Alan Asherle. And he was a incoming freshman from Santa Ynez, California. And I'm standing in line waiting to get my key to my dorm. And they said to me, do you know who your roommate is? And I said, I had somebody named Alan Asherle. And next thing you know, the guy standing behind me says, well, I'm Alan Asherle. So, immediately, just felt very welcomed and comfortable. And I will be honest to tell you, by the end of that evening, the incoming freshmen from all the different places they were coming from found each other. And we went down to the local pizza place and had a bunch of pizza. The first night we were in school, and it was just incredible. Right then I knew I was in a good place.
And now to you, Trevor, knowing that your dad went to Pepperdine and played baseball, was it kind of in the bag knowing that you'd follow him in his footsteps? And how much did he try and influence you to play for Pepperdine baseball?
Yeah, so I think when I was growing up, it was always really fun to, attend Pepperdine baseball games. And, I always loved the proximity to home for me, just being from Manhattan Beach. But growing up, there was really honestly not a lot of pressure to go to Pepperdine. It was kind of, I was very lucky and very blessed to have parents who never put any type of pressure on me to, pick a certain school. And then eventually, I think it was back in 2014, Coach Hertensteiner saw me at a tournament in Arizona, and kind of just, it was all history from there. Went up for a visit, loved Pepperdine, loved the school, and loved what the coaches had to say. So ultimately kind of came down to my decision. And honestly, I'm really glad it worked out.
And Paul, what does it mean to you knowing that your son now is following in your footsteps and playing at your alma mater?
Oh, it's incredible. It was a wonderful surprise, really, because, to Trevor's credit, he was getting interest from a lot of different colleges, and I didn't put any pressure on him to go to Pepperdine whatsoever. In fact, I jokingly have said I never wanted him to go back and say, well, Dad made me do it. So I really stayed out of that part of it. And it's been great. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, it's reconnected me with the college. We love going to the games. My wife and I retired a couple of years ago, and my wife Jan and we've been to virtually every game that we can. We missed one game in the last 2 years, I think. So with Trevor coming back from his injury, so we've been going. We hit the road. We go to the away games, the home games. It's been great, and I've had the ability to be reconnected again, which has been fun.
And Trevor, you mentioned growing up that you also remember your time going to Pepperdine baseball games. What's the best back in the day story at Pepperdine that your dad has told you when he played?
Yeah, so I think that one of my favorite stories actually doesn't really have to do a whole lot with baseball. Obviously, everyone knows my dad played baseball, but for the people watching this, they will now know that my dad was one of the first people to work on the sprinklers on Alumni Park. So he always joked. We always joke and laugh as a family that he was probably out there at 6:30 in the morning, and he's saying the water splashing in his face, and we always just joke and we always laugh about how that was always a really funny story.
How did things change over the years at Pepperdine from the time when you were a student athlete to now going to your son's games?
Well, I think it's just different, right? I mean, we're talking. We had our 40th anniversary reunion in 2019, and obviously a lot has changed, right? I mean, we literally, the first year that we played, that 79 baseball season, they were beginning to build what you see now as the stadium, the Eddie D. Field Stadium. And we sat on folding chairs, chain link fence. Beautiful as that place was, it was not that, beautiful during that particular time. And you now see what Pepperdine aspect, but as a university and a school, technology so much greater than when it was back when, I was there. But the constant seems to be the people. Some of my best friends today are the people that I went to Pepperdine with, played baseball with, still very close to a lot of them. And I can see the same thing going on with Trevor.
Paul, I want you to take a second and think back to the College World Series. What was that like being the first Pepperdine team to make it to Omaha?
Well, you have to understand the makeup of the team. So we were a bit of a band of misfits. You had a big class of incoming freshmen. You had an outgoing class of senior superstars that somehow came together as one. And regardless of our class or our age, it didn't matter. Everybody accepted everybody. I mean, I was 17 when I got to Pepperdine. And I walked into the field house to have the first meeting before we were to go out on the field. And the senior shortstop, who was one of the best players in the country at the time, Tim Gloyd, just looked up at me as I'm coming in. He goes, "You have got to be a freshman." And I'm like, ouch, he hits me hard right out of the gate. And quite frankly, we all came together. And that was a magical year. As I said, we played on, a field. We had dugouts that were mounds of dirt and folding chairs. If you go back and look at the team picture, one of them, you'll see that we had different hats. Some had P's, some P's were in the middle, some were on the side, some were M's. They came with M's on them for Malibu. And I remember the coach opening up the boxes and handing out the hats, and we're like, these don't even match. And he said, "Well, what do you want to do? Should we order again?" And we said, "No, that fits us." So we had guys playing with P's and M's, and it just nothing mattered. We were all in it for one thing. And I don't think any of us thought we were going to go to the World Series, specifically because Cal State Fullerton was in the league at that time. And they ended up winning the World Series. So how is two teams from the same league getting to the World Series? That seems today almost impossible. But it was amazing. I mean, unfortunately for me, I got the chicken pox, and I had to stay behind. But I was part of the whole thing, through and through. I got into games, and that team was amazing. We had all Americans. We had the nation's leading stolen base leader, and we played a lot more games. If you go back and look at our record, I think we won 53 or 54 games, and that's about the amount of games that the team would currently play in a normal season these days. So we played a lot of games. It was a little different back then, but it was an amazing experience, and I love those guys. And like I said, we had our 40th reunion at the field. They put a nice banner up on the fence for us, and we all keep in touch to this day. So it was amazing.
That's an amazing story. And Trevor, I just want to ask you, has your dad reminisced about all of this to you? And then one question I have is, it sounds like he might have some cool vintage stuff that he maybe saved for you.
I think, I mean, absolutely on the reminiscing part. I think like I said, been super lucky. My dad is always, he's kept in touch with his teammates and his friends. And so growing up, I've honestly grown up around a lot of his teammates and gotten to know a lot of them. And, I can think of my dad and my godfather, who I can't tell you how many times I've heard them talk about their days at Pepperdine and, their experiences, and just having the opportunity to be able to talk to some of his friends about what made that team so good. Why were they a championship caliber team? And, just being able to talk baseball and learn from them has been extremely beneficial to me, and just super grateful to have grown up around those people.
And Paul, you touched on this earlier, but it sounds like you and Jan have not missed many Pepperdine baseball games now that Trevor is on the team. How awesome is it to be a spectator now in the stands?
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, that was one of the boxes I checked when I retired from the television business that I was in 2018. Trevor was coming back from his Tommy John surgery. We didn't know when he would get in a game. And I remember saying to myself, or saying to my wife, I said, you know what? I don't want to be in my office and watching the game on an iPad or my iPhone while I'm trying to do work. And all of a sudden I hear, now coming in, Trevor Franklin. And I said, I'm going to end this career, and I said, you and I should just go. Let's just plan to go. And it was great. That year they went to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. We went to Utah. It's BYU, San Francisco, Sandy. I mean, it was a great year for traveling, but we only missed one. I think we went to 49 out of 50 games, and we were in the process of doing that again this year before, the coronavirus canceled the whole season. So we love it. We just love going out to the games and wherever they're at. And whenever he gets in, it's great. And, we get a lot of joy out of that. So.
And Trevor, just hearing this alone, it's extra special knowing that your parents can come to as many games. I know a lot of people only wish that they could be at their son and daughter's games. How special is it for you knowing that your mom and dad are always there to cheer you on?
Oh, I mean, it's great. I think a lot of the guys on the team, they see my parents and they think of them as like extra teammates, just because it feels like they're at every single game, and like they're like number one supporter. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just always great being able to look up in the stands and see my parents there. It's kind of a reflection of the sacrifices that they've made for me, and I would not be able to be playing right now if it were not for the sacrifices that they have made. And so to be able to see it all come together and be able to have them out in the stands, it's really special for me.
And Paul, you mentioned Trevor needing that Tommy John surgery. He's definitely gone through adversity while he's been on the team. How cool was it to see him come back last year and get the opportunity to finally play again?
It was amazing, and all the credits due to Trevor. It is a tough surgery to go through. I think physically, one thing, but more so mentally. He spent his entire sophomore year sitting behind home plate with the radar gun, charting pitches, not being allowed to be in the dugout, not being allowed to travel. And that's the hardest part, is mentally, how do you stick with it? And then you got to go through all the rehabbing and the physical attributes to get back. And fortunately for him, unfortunately, but fortunately, he had teammates and friends on the team that had also gone through it. And they were incredibly supportive. Michael Mahoney and some of these guys that are good friends of his, great teammates. And, the thing about Trevor is he's a leader. He's a vocal leader and emotional leader as part of the team. And, if he never pitched another game, we'd be proud of the fact that he was such a big part of the team when he couldn't be on the field. And that's probably made us even more proud than him getting back out and pitching again, although we do like that.
And I want to ask you both this next question. I want you guys to think back at a moment where you can both look back and say, that day I'll never forget wearing a Waves uniform. And Trevor, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think I think it's always great to be able to wear the Waves uniform. But I think back to last season, and I think about how we played a late game at UCLA on a Wednesday, and then we had an early flight. I think we left Pepperdine at around 3 a.m. to go to Florida International, and we know that on Friday night we're playing Florida International, who I'm pretty sure was 3-0 on the year, and one of the best pitchers in the country is pitching for them. So, we know that it's going to be tough. Like, travel schedule is tough, and we know it's going to be tough going in there. But I literally can remember that Friday night game, Billy Cook hitting a huge home run for us, and then Justin Lutz absolutely just tearing the cover off the ball and hitting 2 home runs. And I think when Lutz hit that second go-ahead home run, I remember being down in the bullpen and just thinking about how proud I was to be a part of this team, and really just the fight and the grit that we were showing was incredible. And it's guys like Reese Alexiades and Justin Lutz and Billy Cook and Michael and Mahoney who make it really easy to be proud to wear the uniform. So.
And Paul, what's one memory?
Yeah. Well, my one memory is not necessarily during my time playing. Of course, that 1979 year was spectacular and magical. And I wasn't a huge part of the team. I pitched in a number of games, but the memory that I will have was an alumni game. And I was way past my prime. And all I was doing was sitting in the dugout. And 2 of my pitching buddies from my era were also in there. And we had no intention of pitching in an alumni game. We're going to go up there and face these guys that are in the minor leagues and all this. And Steve Rodriguez, the head coach, came over and said, "Why don't you guys pitch? Get out there and pitch." So I had my jersey on and sweatpants, and the 3 of us decided, you know what, here's what we'll do. We're going to go out and pitch, and each one is on the mound until you get an out. So Paul, I drew the short straw. I started the inning off, and I'm throwing a whopping 65 miles an hour or whatever it is. And my first 2 pitches are strikes. The next 3 are balls. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to walk this guy and I'm going to be stuck out here on the mound. So I throw at least a ball close enough for the guy to take a big swing. And it's a little dribbler down in front of the mound. I'm like, oh gosh. And I'm out there chugging, trying to get the ball. Well, the catcher was a AAA guy that had played at Pepperdine. And he comes flying out from home plate, throws his mask off, picks that ball up, throws it to first base, bang, bang, play. He's out, and I pass out on the ground like this. I'm done. I'm done. The best thing about it is all 3 of us got out. And for that 1 inning, we beat the alumni. And so that's a memory. And it was probably the only time my kids ever saw me pitch at all. And so I kind of take that one away from my time out there.
That's an amazing story. And Trevor, as a leader now in this program, does your dad ever give you advice prior to big games?
Um, it's been incredible to grow up and be able to have my dad. I think that my overall goal in life is to kind of try and be like my dad, to be honest. But yeah, when talking about baseball and stuff like that, obviously he talks about how his teammates have always been a huge part of his life, and so and he talks about that World Series team and how the seniors who were superstars on the team, and then there were the freshmen that were coming in, were all really well connected. And for us, we don't care if you're a freshman or if you're a senior. Whoever you are on this team, you're going to help the team win in any way that you can, and we're going to treat everyone with respect and class, and really it's going to take all of us to get to where we want to get, and that's to win a College World Series. But in terms of leading the team or anything like that, I have full confidence in every single guy in our team. We typically wouldn't even need a leader because of how many leaders we have in general, and how many guys just are hungry to win and hungry to win a national championship and do things for Pepperdine. So.
And Paul, as Trevor gets ready to embark in his final season with the Waves, going off of last year and how well that team did, what's one piece of advice that you have for him as he gets ready to end his Pepperdine career after one more season?
Well, my wife and I have been talking about this. We thought last year was going to be it. And it ended so sadly and abruptly. As everybody knows, the team was doing really well, amazingly well. It looked like it was going to be a pretty special season, and then it ends. And the fact that he's decided to go back, he's getting his master's, is a real sense of pride and happiness for his mother and I, that he made that decision. And we feel like we're getting a bonus. This is a bonus season. I mean, we've been very fortunate. His older brother played college baseball, right up until his graduation year. And Trevor's done the same thing. I mean, we've been watching baseball between these two. I would just say to Trevor, continue to lead. You're a senior plus now, and there's a big incoming class of freshmen. And I would say go back to what I said earlier about when I arrived on campus as a freshman and how these seniors took us all in, and we combined and gelled to make it to the College World Series. We came in third. We lost to those pesky Titans at Cal State Fullerton. And you guys have the same makeup that we have. And for Trevor and his buddies that he mentioned, Reese and Michael, Mahoney and Lutz and these guys, they're the leaders. And if they do their job, these guys will follow. And I think it'll be another special year in 2021.
And Trevor, my final question for today is for you. As you look ahead, you have unfinished business after last season. As you get ready to embark in your final year at Pepperdine, what kind of mark do you want to leave on the Waves program?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, from a team standpoint, we want to win a national championship. And, that's a big statement, but I mean, that is something that, we're going to put our heads down and we're going to work. And I think when I look at the guys on our team, like I said, I see a bunch of guys that are hungry to win. Guys that in any situation, they want the ball and they want to go compete. And so it's just really just the last season's really about having a lot of fun and getting to know these guys. Trying to establish some best friendships for life, and just really try to get to know the new guys, and just super excited for the opportunity to be able to come back and be a part of Pepperdine for another year, and just really excited and looking forward to spending more time with my teammates this year.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today on my show. And Paul, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that you and Jan can attend the games in the spring once the season does start. But until then, stay safe and go Waves.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you so much.
See you, Trev.